Hey everybody, what's going on tonight? Uh, this one's going to be about me tonight. Reason being is there's people, even in this town that I live in, that has made claims about me. They say I'm a liar, or they used to. Let's just put it like this. But there's still people around here that think this, that don't have all the information. But you guys don't understand what kind of a year I've been through. At the beginning of this year, at, let's put it like this: December 21st, my father died. January 1st, I was trying to go down and see my mother after my father died. My family members had it set up with a sheriff down in Limestone County. He used to be sheriff anyway, but he starred in many of my videos on my main channel I used to have. And they used him because of what my videos that I put him and his deputies and the state troopers down there in Alabama through. They used this sheriff. He was still in office, so they used him to keep me from seeing my mother after my father died. That was at the beginning of this year. Also, at the beginning of this year, my heart doctors, now they've had me on medication for my heart problem, told me if I wasn't wearing a mask, they weren't, and come in their office, they were going to cut off my medication that they've had me on for 20 years, telling me if I didn't take that medication, I'd die. They've been telling me that shit for 20 years, folks. And at the beginning of this year, I have not been taking those. They cut my prescriptions off because I would not go in their office wearing a mask. I couldn't. I still wouldn't, even today. This is just 2021, folks, is what I'm talking about. I was then, because of my channel that I used to have on YouTube, we had an incident that brought me about a year or so before that, involved me at my house and my son with the Boardman Township Police Department. That video is on my Boardman Township, Ohio. If you can see it here. See, tilted a little bit. It's on there. You can see that video. But at the beginning of this year, one of their officers that'd been on the force for 18 years decided he was going to be the man to mask Watachi. He trumped up charges and everything. I'm not going to give you his name. I've forgiven him for what he has done. Now, his actions are still carrying over into my life today. And he claims to be a Christian. And he allows that to happen. That's on him. He'll have to answer for that. And I'll be a witness for every bit of it. But anyway, this man that done this, he was telling everybody, I'm just nothing but a liar. I get on YouTube and I convince you guys of all these lies to get you to just follow me. People, I never had a damn channel that had any more subs than 1,130 because YouTube would never let me go over that. I just barely had enough to go live. And I miss going live, man. I tell you, I miss going live. I'd rather do that than do these stupid videos. Because you can have some back and forth conversation with that. If you don't have 500,000 subs, you can't even read the comments if you got that many. 300 or 400 people in your chat, live chat, you can't read that shit. Unless it slows way down. But, like I said, this officer was telling everybody I get online and I lie about all this shit. And I get just for subs and shit. Well, people, there's enough. I have lived in 11 states, and I don't know how many cities. There's enough people across this country that knows exactly who I am and what I'm about. They know what I've been through, the stuff I've been involved with. They know it all. My family, my wife, my daughter, my oldest daughter, and my son. They've been in my life. Me and my wife's been married for 30 years. This December, 30 years. Me and my wife knew each other probably at least 5 years before that. Or 3 to 5 years. I don't remember what it was. 3 to 5 years anyway, folks. I don't want to tell you something I'm not sure on. So it was at 3 to 5 years, because me and my wife, hell, we lived together for almost 3 years before we even got married. And so, yeah, I'm 58 years old. 58 and a half, gonna be 59. I say 60 because I'm close. I've been close enough to 60. Ain't no reason not to even say it. But I'm 50. I'll be 59 here shortly. And 30, I'd say 33 to 34 of them years, my wife and my children have known me and know what I'm telling you. I would not be on this channel telling you things they know is lies. I wouldn't be doing it, folks. They know about my medical history. They know what's going on with me. They were there when I was going through the operations and shit. My wife works for my lung doctor. My lung doctor. Today. You guys, I'm not lying to you about this shit. I have no reason. I'm not doing this. People used to call me infamous. Infamous. Now, some people would think I'm doing this to be some kind of famous. I don't know how you can be famous having 5 channels with less than 100 subs and maybe get 10 to 30 views in a month. You ain't gonna get famous, and I definitely ain't pushing for infamous anymore. People I used to, I'll admit, when people used to call me infamous before, they had good reason to do that. I didn't do things against good people, though, and they knew that. One of my best friends his wife called me infamous. And what she didn't even know about her own husband is her husband was trying to get me to lie for him so he could go have sex with another woman. He wanted me to tell his wife he was riding dirt bikes with me all weekend while he was doing something else. Now, his wife really didn't like me that much. And she called me the infamous Brian Grooms. See, she didn't even know. I told her husband, look, if you and I are going to be friends, and my wife and your wife are going to be friends, then I'm going to be friends with your wife. Don't ask me to do something like that for you, because I will never be a part of any of that. Well, I wasn't friends with that guy a whole lot longer after that. Now, I did finally meet up with him again after his wife had their first baby. And he said he was glad I didn't go along with it, and that kept him from going along with it. But he stopped hanging around with me. Yeah, we go riding every now and then. That's how we met, riding dirt bikes. Man, this guy had a wife that she was making $350,000 a year. He worked for me part-time, and he said he had a house painting business, he said. Now, he was a good painter. So when if I had work that I could involve him in, he would work for me. But his wife worked for Gap, and she was had something to do with architectural. I don't know. She was an architectural designer for one thing, but they gave the company she worked for. Now, Gap was one of the stores that she designed, but he had a freaking house or a townhouse on Venice Beach that they had full control of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 356 days a year, because his wife's had two main offices, one in L.A. and one in New York, but they lived in Arizona. Now, the company paid for the house or the townhouse that they had in on Venice Beach in California, and the damn company paid for the penthouse, or it wasn't a penthouse, but it was up high on one of them big buildings in New York, which was majorly expensive. They paid for that too. Now, this guy didn't even have to work. They were married. She was making $350,000 a year, and he was lucky if he made $50,000 a year doing what he was doing. He was a pretty boy. I can tell you that. He was a pretty boy, so yeah, he had a woman willing to, and they probably still together today. I hope he changed his ways, but she told him, hey, you don't have to work. Hell, we got a townhouse in Venice Beach. We got an apartment in New York. You can come with me. You can stay right there with me. And he did for a little while, back and forth. Fuck it. He said, hell with that. I don't want to live like that. So he started staying home. Then he told her he couldn't handle that. He couldn't handle her being gone five months out of the year. in New York or LA. He was going to leave her. She quit that. She quit that job. Took a job making half that so that she could be home all the time. And they still lived. He still didn't have to work. He was still making $150, almost $200,000 a year, staying home. And so he said, we need some kids. So they started having kids. So I hope they stayed together. But, he put me in that spot, and I told him I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. But, and if you're a friend of somebody, you wouldn't ask somebody to do that anyway. But, these people say I lie about these stories I tell you, folks. My main point my stories that I tell you people have nothing to really do with you guys. I try to tell you why I tell you these stories so you understand where I'm coming from. I also tell these stories in these videos for other reasons, for other people. People that might see them after I'm gone, is how I'm going to put it. You see, some of us know we're not long for this earth. Some of you don't get that privilege. I do call it a privilege. But what good would it do me to come on here and lie to you about a bunch of things that never really happened to me, and then try to convince you at the end, don't believe anything I've told you, just believe when I tell you you need to find Jesus? How would that work for me, folks? It definitely ain't working for views. It definitely ain't working for subs. So how would me lying to you about what I've done, what's happened to me in my life, just because you think it's too much to have happened to one person? You guys don't even have a clue. You have heard about this much of my life. You have no clue at what I could throw some shit at you that just blow your fucking mind, to be honest. Why would I lie? Why would I lie about the stories of my past? For laughs? Am I getting laughs? I don't even know if anybody's laughed at anything I've said. You might have laughed at everything I fucking said. I don't know. People, if you think the stuff I've said is so outrageous that I've told you about my life, is so outrageous, and I can't even imagine how boring your life has been. Because there's people that have done a hell of a lot more than I've ever done. There's people I look at and go, damn, I wish I'd have done something like that. I don't know. I've just never followed the masses. Never. I wasn't waiting until everybody was lined up jumping off the fucking bridge. Hell, we were jumping off that fucking bridge long before everybody else come along and was lining up jumping off of it. We already knew where to jump and where the deep end was. That's why I said one day my dad asked me. Now, he didn't know a lot. He didn't know a lot about what I was involved in. But he asked me one day, well, if everybody was lined up jumping off the fucking bridge, would you jump off of it too? I didn't want to tell him we were jumping off of it long before they all lined the fuck up. I've had people tell me if I didn't see that happen, I wouldn't believe it. The only time I ever seen anything like that happens in a fucking movie. I had these guys. I ain't going into it. We're already at 20 minutes. I could tell you guys stories, man. I hope and pray all of you at least have half the stories I can tell. I always tell people, man, I feel like when I look back over the years, I feel like it's been like 3 lifetimes. Because the shit I used to do in my first 20 years wasn't shit compared to the shit I did in my second, from my 20 years to my 40 years. And then everything that's happened after that, up until about 3 or 4 years ago, was another whole lifetime. And now where I'm at right now, the last 3 years feels like I've been set down into a completely different life. And if these things ain't, if this ain't the way life feels for you, you've just had one boring ass fucking year after another. All I can say is you wasted your time on this earth. Me, this body I'm in is broken down. I got arthritis. I got fucking bad shoulders, bad knees, ruptured discs. I've got blown out hips and fucking everything else, man. When I leave this earth, this body's going to be wore the hell out. And I stretched the stuff that I was born with for going on 60 years now. That heart and them lung problems, I'm still kicking. Still Watachi. Still running free. I'm by no means perfect, folks. Never have been. I have a lot more knowledge than I used to have. A lot of wisdom that you only get with age. But if I had it all to do over again, I may have pushed it even a little harder than what I did. Because there were some things I did back away from that I shouldn't. You guys make no mistake. If you don't believe anything else I say, at least believe this. God loves you more than any person on this earth could ever love you. More than I can. But I can say I love you. I just want you guys to look at what's going on. You really think man's going to fix this when man has caused it? The only thing that's going to save you, folks, there ain't no man on this earth going to save you. Jesus Christ. If you seek him, you will find him. And you still have a chance. but you're going to have to give up. You're going to have to repent. You're going to have to stop doing those things you know you're not supposed to. You don't own nothing, folks. You've never been paid with a currency worth anything more than a piece of paper. How could you own anything? Just like me, I don't own nothing. Anything that's in this garage right here that doesn't have a serial number on it that can be tracked in any way, shape, or form, or you have to license it or have a license to use it, I guess you could say I own. Or it's in my possession until I'm gone. Folks, none of you promised tomorrow. I'm not promised tomorrow. That's for damn sure. I know that. I'm lucky to get tomorrow. But you two are as well lucky to get tomorrow. You never know if you're going to not wake up tomorrow. So before you go to sleep tonight, I ask you to seek Jesus Christ. You can claim I'm a liar on everything else. But I ask you before you go to sleep tonight to seek Jesus Christ, because you may not get the chance to do it any other time if you die in your sleep. Can it hurt you? I don't think so. It might change you. That might happen for the better. It did with me. I don't want to be known as infamous. Not anymore. I did it one time. I didn't mind it. Not anymore. I want to be known as good. So should you. Good night, folks.